So as we start this video off, I want to mention the fact that as of my recording this, we do not know exactly what mastery difficulty is going to entail. However, based on a few things the game has said, the difficulty is going to fall somewhere between heroic and legendary, and not only that, apparently there are going to be mechanics that I can only assume could be compared to what we saw in the incursion. Therefore, today we are going to start a series at the channel where I highlight certain builds that, in my opinion, you want to have at the ready for when this new difficulty drops, which is less than 4 weeks away. So in my opinion, now is the perfect time to farm my fellow agents, so that way when this thing finally happens, you have boots on the ground, you're ready to go. Now, as always, we're going to jump right into the details, and if you happen to enjoy this, do me a favor and hit that like button. It truly helps the channel out, and if you want to stay up to speed on all things Division, feel free to hit that subscribe or join button as well. Now, as we start off with the specialization, this is going to be the first of 2 builds I highlight, and as you can see, we're using Gunner, and we're using that for a bunch of different reasons. First of all, you're going to get some extra armor on kill, you get a reload speed increase, a rate of fire increase as well, but the primary reason is because it does give us access to the Banshee Pulse, which we are definitely going to use with this build. And always remember, my fellow agents, regardless of the specialization that you choose, have the proper weapons activated in your weapon skill tree. That way you're getting that extra 15% weapon damage regardless of which one you're using. Now, my primary for this build is St. Elmo's engine, and even though we did see a nerf to it with the introduction of Title Update 22, it is still easily one of the best assault rifles in the game, and if you do not have it, like I said previously, now is the time to farm. You don't want to be trying to get this thing once this new difficulty drops, you want to be ready. So again, it's so effective because not only of its talent, where shooting an enemy is going to give you 1 stack, and at 100 stacks, the next magazine will be filled with shock ammo, but as you can see with the mods, you have 15% crit hit damage, 30 extra rounds, 10% weapon handling, and 15% crit hit chance as well. And that combination is what puts this item on the top of the very short list of weapons that I like to use on a regular basis. Now, moving on to the secondary, it is the rock and roll shotgun. We are using that to build those stacks for the Striker's gear set. And for those of you that may not have this weapon, you can use the ACS-12 as this is a PvP exclusive, but you can also get it from name caches as well. Now, moving on to the gear itself, you can see we're running 4 Striker, 1 Overlord, and the Coyote's Mask, which you can see on screen right now. Now, once again, this is one of those exotics that happens to be a must-have item for every single agent out there, especially when you're rolling in a group, because it does have the talent pack instincts. And with that talent, you and your allies are going to gain a crit hit chance and or crit hit damage bonus based on the distance of the last enemy you hit. And when you're in a group of 4 and 3 people have this thing equipped, you can have all 3 of those running at the same time, and you're absolutely decimating everything left and right. It is a ton of fun to use. It really is, my fellow agents. Anyway, moving on to the rest of the gear, we got the body armor. It's the first piece of Striker, and we're running 4, so we get all of the gear set bonuses. 2 pieces 15% weapon handling, 3 pieces 15% rate of fire, 4 pieces Striker's Gamble. Weapon hits are going to increase your weapon damage by 0.65%, stacking up to 100 times. However, because we are wearing the body armor, we do have the talent press the advantage, and you can see that is going to increase the max stacks of Striker's Gamble from 100 to 200. And one thing you'll also notice as we make our way to the holster, which is the second piece of Striker, I'm going to stack crit hit chance and crit hit damage everywhere I can, and as I said at the beginning of the video, I will show you a different variation in a moment. Now we're making our way to the knee pads, which are Fox's Prayer. We're using these for that middle attribute, 8% damage to targets out of cover. And one thing I'd like to point out is that on a few of these pieces, I've re-rolled that core attribute to armor because I like sitting anywhere between 1.1 and 1.3 million. You may want more, you may want less. Try out different variations, truly make this build your own. Next we have the gloves, which are the third piece of Striker. And once again, we are focusing on that crit hit chance or crit hit damage. Last but not least, we have the Striker's Bag, fourth and final piece of Striker. And because we're wearing that, we do have the talent risk management. And that is going to increase total weapon damage gained per stack from Striker's Gamble from 0.65% to 0.90%. And as far as my skills are concerned, for this variation of the build, I'm using the Crusader Shield and the Banshee Pulse. But once again, because we don't really have a breakdown of what mastery difficulty is going to look like, these are kind of TBD. You know what I mean? We'll see what happens once we have a breakdown of the actual, difficulty itself. Now, as far as my numbers, you can see I'm sitting at 49% crit hit chance. Remember, the max is 60 and 132 crit hit damage, and that is without any of the talents on Coyote's Mask or anything else running, so you're sitting in a really good place. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, I want to highlight another variation of the build you can put together. This is for those of you that may not have Coyote's Mask as yet. So what I've done is this, no longer wearing Coyote's Mask. You can see I have switched that to a piece of Striker, and you'll also notice I did change my specialization to Survivalist, and the reason for for that is because it gives me an extra 10% protection from elites, and you'll also notice on the other gear, I've switched some of the mods to protection from elites as well, and the reason for that is for those of you out there who may want to have a little more tankiness in your build, when you add all those up, you're going to get about 47% protection from elites, and I have switched the gloves to contractor's gloves, and the reason for that is because of that middle attribute, 8% damage to armor. Really hope this video helped you out, my fellow agents, and if you have any other questions I did not address, please let me know in the comments section, and I will do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. Now, as I start to wrap this video up, I want to mention a few more things really quick. Always remember that the numbers I showed you on screen are going to be dependent not only on the gear you have equipped, but having a Shade Watch of level 1000, so please make sure you take that into consideration. And I'd also like to pass along a recommendation for new and returning players, and that is the following. When you're trying out a new build, go to a mission control point or something in the game that you know the timing of the NPC. And the main reason I say that is because not only is that going to give you an idea of how the build actually feels when you're using it, but the bottom line is if you can't make a build work in an environment where you know the timing of the NPC, where they're going to spawn, things like that, there's no way it's going to work for you when things get sideways in the game. So again, kick the tire, see how the build feels for you, make some tweaks accordingly. On that note, I'm going to leave you with some gameplay footage. I want to thank you all for your incredible support of this channel. Please let me know of any other questions you have I did not address. Thank you once again for the privilege of your time, and as I mention at the end of every one of these, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone. So as most of you know, when you play in a group, you're going to face more NPCs, they're going to be a little bit tankier, and it is easier to reach max stacks. But as a solo player, it can be kind of tricky sometimes. However, one thing you can do, like you can see on screen, go to the shooting range, change the difficulty of the enemies you're hitting up to invulnerable. You're going to build those stacks in no time, then fast travel to a mission, and you're just going to light everything up left and right. And always remember, when it comes to this build, even when you're not at max stacks, you're still going to be putting out a ton of damage with this build, but it's also fun to really feel what it's like when this thing is fully maxed out. You know what I mean? Anyway, my fellow agents, that's all I got for today's video. Do me a favor and let me know in the comments section, are you looking forward to mastery difficulty? I am, strictly because of A, hopefully it's going to be a challenge, and B, I'm missing everything. This is terrible. We're just going to edit all that shit out right there. I'm looking forward to that new exotic. I'm really looking forward to that thing. That's going to be a lot of fun to use, a lot of builds you can put together. I'll highlight that once we get closer to the difficulty dropping. And that's it. That's all I got. Hope you enjoy the video, my fellow agents. Thank you again for your incredible support, and I'll see you in the next one.
campus has taken position inside the memorial.